As someone who has been waiting for a true successor to the original Fallout games, and a huge fan of the post-apocalyptic genre as a whole, I was looking forward to finally diving into Wasteland 2 to see if it would fill the void that was left when the Fallout series went to first person. The results so far are a mixed bag. The game, developed by InXile Entertainment, includes members from the original Wasteland team, including Brian Fargo, who also went on to work on Fallout 1 and 2, so my expectations were pretty high. The game gets started on the right foot, with some good FMV and plot encapsulation of your role in the world, as well as setting up your initial quest. After the intro, you are given the choice of selecting your group of pre-made characters or trying to create your own. After briefly starting the game with the pre-made characters just to get a sense of how it worked, I decided to start a real playthrough with a custom team created from scratch. Here is where I encountered one of the first little issues I had with the game. The number of skills you have to choose from at the outset is extremely daunting. You have your weapon skills, social skills, and practical skills, all of which seem like they will be useful at some point. Trying to figure out what will not be useful is not easily apparent, and gives me the constant feeling like I'm always picking the wrong thing. The problem I see here is that too many of the skills don't feel different enough from each other. For example, why does there need to be a lockpicking skill and a safecracking skill? It just seems like an arbitrary decision to lock away certain loot unless you train in both. And there are at least 2 skills used to disable traps of some kind. I would have liked them to roll up similar skills to create a much more streamlined experience. And don't even get me started on the social skills, as they seem even more arbitrary, and all they do is lock you out of character interactions. I'm fine with defining your character as a hard ass or a smart ass, but I'd also like there to be some sort of fallback persuasion skill that I can take that will cover any situation. The gameplay itself is interesting, and definitely the part I feel is the most like the classic Fallout, and I enjoyed it the most. Moving around the world feels similar to the Infinity Engine games like Baldur's Gate. The difference comes when you do get into a battle. The encounter starts when you're spotted, and you can sometimes get a surprise round off before starting turn-based combat. Once the real fight starts, it switches to turn-based combat that is AP-based, and the game does a good job of displaying your movement and attack options in the area. While the nuts and bolts of the combat seem fine, I do feel that the melee feels less effective than range, with the AB cost, accuracy, and damage output of my range characters being on average much better overall than those who focused on melee. Onto the graphics. They weren't anything to write home about, and it feels a bit generic if I'm being honest. I kinda wish the world felt a bit more unique, as most of the areas I've seen so far remind me of places in the Matrix rather than a post-apocalyptic society. There's just something special about the way that the Fallout game looks, and so far I'm just not getting the same sensation about this game. One thing, however, I will praise is that the actual character portraits and concept artwork are quite fantastic. I just wish there was more of them. The story didn't seem like anything groundbreaking, and as someone who is obsessed with seeing as much content as possible, hearing the dreaded, "You're gonna have to make a choice" line made me realize they want people to play this game over and over to see everything, which just doesn't jive with the way I play games nowadays. I want to either be able to do everything and see your story, or don't present me with the option at all. I will say, however, that the consequences of these choices is really well presented, as you'll get radio calls from the choice you didn't make, with a growing desperation from those who you didn't help. I was really ready for a new post-apocalyptic game with some deep character creation, but I think in the end the game just isn't quite what I was hoping for, and I'm not sure how much more I'll end up playing. It was worth the discounted price I paid for it for sure, and if you're looking for a squad-based RPG set in a post-apocalyptic world, there are worse games you could spend your money on. This is John from Infinite Lives, and I'll be listening for your call on my Ranger radio, unless I'm in the middle of getting a field promotion.